Hi, everybody. Welcome to our online discussion of November 2015.
Hello.
My name is Christian Lebré, and I introduce you Amy Hasbrook, our host for today. And she's the director of Toujours Vivant and Not Dead Yet, our organization, and the name is just over there here. Okay? So, Toujours Vivant Not Dead Yet is a project of the Council Canadian with Disability. Our goal is to inform, unify, and give voice to the disability right opposition to assisted suicide, euthanasia, and other ending of life practices that discriminate against people with disability. Today's topics. Federal expert panel mandate is extended and changed. Second subject, Quebec's Health Minister attack hospice program in palliative care plan. And the third subject, video from the Economist promote euthanasia to prevent suicide. What a strategy. Okay, so I give the voice to Amy Hasbrook.
Thanks.
We're there.
Thanks. Okay, the first item is the federal expert panel's mandate is extended and changed. On November 14th, the federal ministers of Justice and of Health announced that they were extending the deadline for the report from the federal panel on assisted dying from November 15th to December 15th. That's a good thing.
1 month to just change the objective from one to the other, and no change of the tool to reach the objective.
Right, and in fact, because of the election, they had to suspend their work for a long time, and the deadline for submissions was November 1st. So they didn't have much time to collect their information. So the extension of the time is good, but at the same time, Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould and Health Minister Jane Philpott also announced that they were changing the mandate of the committee. So that instead of making recommendations for legislation, the committee will simply be reporting on the results of the national consultation on assisted dying.
So the way you tell me, the result will not be guaranteed because so far for the scientific evaluation or collecting information.
Right. They've been collecting information, but it's only from groups that they've interviewed. They've had long interviews with each group, 1 hour with each group, but they've had collected information through their website, but it hasn't been. There haven't been public hearings that were open, hearings that were open to the public around the country. And to have their mandate changed at the last minute is really a problem because they've been working in one direction for most of their mandate, and now they're just changing at the last minute.
So the method of collection is not so great.
Right, exactly. The information they collected may not be appropriate to their new mandate. And like I said, this is bad news since the provincial panel, which has been running around doing something similar, which will produce its report by the end of November, will most certainly suggest legislative measures to be adopted by Parliament. That was the original mandate of the federal panel. And the provincial panel will be doing the same thing. So their report is going to come out earlier and they're going to get a lot more attention.
Yeah.
So the federal panel, which includes a person with a disability and a palliative care specialist, would be more likely to present measures geared toward strong safeguards and limiting potential harm to people in vulnerable circumstances. But without the mandate to present legislative ideas, even if they do make legislative proposals, such ideas may not be credited. So they may not, if they make that kind of proposal, it may just be ignored.
Yeah, because it will be just suggestion.
Right, exactly.
You could hear it and not do nothing.
Right, exactly. And So we wonder why the Trudeau government has taken this step. Is the government going to ask the Supreme Court for an extension of the February 6, 2016 deadline for coming up with legislation? And if so, how will the government transform the observations of the federal panel into legislation?
Yeah.
We don't know that.
We don't know, but they talk about it in the election as a promise to
Right.
extend.
Right.
But you never know in the electoral promise.
Right, exactly. We don't know. We hope that they will extend the time because we want whatever legislation comes out of this to be well considered. But if they're not going to, give the panels time to come up with good recommendations, then it won't be well considered.
Yeah.
But these questions that I just mentioned these are questions that each person who's concerned about assisted suicide and euthanasia could be asking their member of parliament. So if you want to contact your member of parliament, go to the website at parl.gc.ca, choose your language, and then select senators and members.
And I think it's very easy and it is accessible for people with low vision.
Right. So select the Senators and Members tab to find out how to contact your member of parliament. So that's it for that one. The next item we have is that the Quebec Health Minister has attacked the hospice programs in its palliative care plan. Health Minister Gaëtan Barrette called Quebec's palliative care system dysfunctional when he unveiled a 5-year plan to improve palliative and end-of-life care. And when we say end-of-life care, that means euthanasia.
Euthanasia, yeah, you read it like that. Anything that you read end-of-life in the province of Quebec law or any government issue text, it's been euthanasia.
Right, exactly. Though Minister Barrette said that the quality of the service was not at issue, there needs to be standardization in how the service is offered.
Standardization like in the army, everybody is the same.
Right.
So it doesn't care if people are very different in their end-of-life period. Right,
and it seems a little odd if the service is working, if the service, people are getting good service, the people who are getting it, it seems a little strange to want to change how the service is delivered.
Yeah, normally if it don't broke, you don't fix it.
Right, exactly. So yeah, he wants to standardize the service, and it's worth wondering how that's going to affect the service.
Sound a little bit odd.
Yeah. The 5-year plan would extend end-of-life care, euthanasia, to children and adolescents. It also it also proposes to offer equitable, though not universal, access to palliative care and to provide these services at home as often as possible.
Yeah, equitable. Okay.
Yeah, so that means lots of people don't get the service instead of everybody getting the service.
Yeah, it sounds like it is equitable if you have to write a text. One have a pencil and the other have a word processor and computer. Is something equitable. They are both a way to write things.
Yeah, no, that's not really, yeah. So the question is, who's going to get palliative care and what kind of care are they going to get? He's not committing to everybody getting access to palliative care. And since only 30% of people have access to palliative care, and palliative care is so important for preventing the reasons that people ask for assisted suicide, it really should be a commitment, but it isn't a commitment by the government to getting everybody palliative care. Here are the priorities, the 7 priorities that are in the 5-year plan. To ensure the implementation of Quebec's euthanasia law within the time allowed.
Okay, go run. We are not ready, but
right.
We still going for the exact date of
December
beginning.
10th. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So even though we're not ready, we're gonna start the program, and hopefully nobody's gonna die who shouldn't die. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, we don't know, but hopefully. The doctors don't know what they're doing. The institutions don't know what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing, but we're gonna start it on time.
And we have to remember that we are playing with the life of people here.
Right.
It's not delaying some kind of treatment. You're dead or you're alive.
It's not like our wedding
No.
where, not everybody was sitting down when we started exactly at 2:00, even though my sister was still running around. That wasn't so serious.
Not exactly the same.
Not exactly the same thing. Again, they want to ensure equitable access to palliative care and euthanasia services. And we talked about what equitable means. It means that not everybody gets it. They want to ensure continuity and fluidity of services offered by different providers.
Oh,
and
nice target. We
associated
know
with
the
palliative care.
fluidity of the service in medical treatment.
Right, exactly. Because right now I'm
yeah.
trying to deal with a situation like that because my doctor is away and I need to get a change in medication. But since my doctor is away, they don't have a backup person for me to talk to when my doctor is out.
The only alternative is to go to an emergency clinic.
Right, and that's what they consider continuity of service. So,
And fluidity.
right, it's very fluid.
Wow, very, very. Oops.
Yeah, okay. So they also want to provide services in the home to people receiving palliative care and euthanasia, which is a good goal in general. But one thing that we're worried about is that the hospice programs, which have already said that they don't want to perform euthanasia,
Was pressurized.
are being
pressure.
punished by having
Put on the grill.
right. If all of the services are provided by regular doctors at home, then the hospices will not be able to exercise their expertise in palliative care. They also want to ensure that children and adolescents have access to palliative care and euthanasia.
Which is awful. We told you a few years ago that the slippery slope exists. And
Right.
this is one of the proof. And it is not even a slippery slope. It's a cliff.
Right.
And we are going down because that's the first time that we know that our government really want to improve, put on the work to kill children or adolescents.
And to euthanize people who don't necessarily have the ability to make the decision on their own. So once that door is open, then they can open the door to people with Alzheimer's or who are unconscious or who can't make the decision themselves.
Really, really afraid.
Right. So the program hasn't even started and they're already proposing including another new group. They also want to recognize and support family caregivers, which sounds good, except when you realize that they're only going to give $1,000 a year, which adds up to about 35 hours of palliative care. So if somebody is sick, deathly ill for 17 weeks, which is about a little over 3 months, if the person's sick, you only get 2 hours a week of respite care for that person.
Yeah, sounds very, 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 very
It's not very much. So, and that's if you qualify for the program.
Oh, if you qualify. Okay,
Right,
great.
right.
You're dying, but you doesn't know if you qualify.
Right, exactly. Usually
And
in those
some-
programs, you have to jump through a lot of hoops and fill out forms and
Yeah,
wait
and
till you
somebody
apply.
on a desk somewhere will take a decision without even seeing you.
right,
Okay.
right.
Nice.
And finally, they want to ensure the quality of services offered to individuals and their families, which is also fairly meaningless. You know, it just means they want to have good services. But again, if not everybody's getting the service, it's, you know, if you're not getting the service at all, it doesn't matter how good the service is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Many observers felt that this is a veiled attack on hospice doctors who refuse to administer euthanasia despite a provision in the law that allows hospices to choose whether or not to participate in providing euthanasia. Hello, cat.
And it is not a cat video.
There's a cat in it, but it's not a cat video. Okay, the next item is a video from The Economist magazine promotes euthanasia to prevent suicide. Last week, the Economist magazine posted
It is
cat
a trouble
video.
cat.
There's a cat video. There you go. The Economist magazine posted a 20-minute video documentary on its website about euthanasia for non-medical causes. The video focused on Emily, a 24-year-old Belgian woman who was given permission for euthanasia despite having no terminal illness and no physical pain.
In a very good physical health.
Right, and obviously if she has no illness, she is perfectly, you know, she
No
would be physically able to commit suicide.
No physical pain at all.
Right. So like any other depressed person who's asking, who's suicidal.
My life is the worst.
Right. Well,
Nothing. I doesn't want anything, so I want to kill myself.
Right. Well, she's like any other suicidal person and should be treated as a suicide prevention, with suicide prevention. But because she's asked for euthanasia, she was treated differently. The video followed her through the final weeks of preparation for the procedure, interviewing a therapist, her mother, and her friends. Emily stated that she found no relief from depression and a sense of meaninglessness she had felt since she was 12 years old, despite medication and therapy. And I can identify with this because I'm going through a lot of troubles myself. And
but you have a responsibility.
Right.
You have people and cats and dogs and
work
friends and everything all over you.
Right. So
all around you.
Right. So it's a combination of people who care and also things that I care about that I have to take care of that make me, you know, continue despite the fact that I've lived with depression since I was 7 years old because of bad things that happened to me when I was little. So, you know, it seems like because this young woman asked for euthanasia rather than just saying, you know, that she was suicidal. I need help. They decided that she was different, and even, you know, instead of continuing to try to find new treatments or a new way for her to relate to the world,
helping her to kill herself looked like a good idea.
Right. They thought it was a okay response. Her therapist agreed with Emily that she had a right to euthanasia. The documentary showed her talking with her mother and her two closest friends, all of whom hoped that she would change her mind. Appuyez sur le...
Sorry
about
phone call that we were not waiting for.
Right. In the end, Emily did not go through with the euthanasia. She said if euthanasia had not been available, she would have killed herself, which kind of seems like that's what happens when people are suicidal. And it makes you wonder why she was treated as differently from anybody else who would be suicidal. The filmmaker echoed statements from pro-euthanasia advocates who believe that when people have the choice to die, they have more control and are therefore free to enjoy their lives. That's one statement that's often made about assisted suicide and euthanasia, but you know, you can believe that if you want to, but there are other ways to look at it.
Yeah, and it's a misconception of taking a decision or making a connection between things. It's like saying man have hair, dogs have hair, so dogs and man are the same.
Right, right. There was only one short interview with an opponent of euthanasia, and some of the arguments against the practice were presented, but in order to be contradicted by interview subjects in the film. This film did a great disservice by failing to examine requests for euthanasia as suicidal behavior. It failed to hold the therapist to account for giving up on a client whose symptoms seemed intractable, and it applied faulty reasoning to draw conclusions about why Emily asked for euthanasia and then rescinded her request.
Yeah.
So it was a very disturbing film also to watch, because this woman is in a great deal of pain, but she's very disengaged from life. She doesn't have an animal to take care of. She doesn't have any activities where she gives anything of herself to other people, and she's very disengaged from the world. And it's sad to see that the mental health system is giving up on her and just saying that she's disposable because she wants euthanasia.
She doesn't have any contact with people in the same situation. It is possible to find somebody like you or her and contact between you two.
Right. Sometimes it can be very helpful to talk to other people who have similar feelings, and it can also be helpful to, help other people who are feeling as bad as you are. So those are other good ways to work around those issues. And we're not professionals, but we had some ideas. So
yeah, I'm quite sure that there was not used yet.
Well, it's, we can't know what has happened in the past, but it just seems like the suicide prevention model was not applied to her because she asked for euthanasia, and so she became a disposable person. And that seems kind of unhappy and unfortunate. We have one announcement today, which is that there will be no webcast next week, November 27th. We will be away celebrating American Thanksgiving. The cat
so for any American who could hear us, very happy Thanksgiving.
Right. More information and contact details. There are many reasons to oppose the legalization of assisted suicide and euthanasia, and here are just a few. First, because it's unnecessary. Everyone already has the option to commit suicide or to refuse medical care and have palliative sedation on demand. So the law doesn't need to be changed in order for people to control their deaths. That's all there is to it. Also, it's discriminatory because while people without disabilities receive suicide prevention services if they express a wish to die, people with disabilities will be encouraged and assisted to kill themselves. And it's not just people with physical disabilities, it's people who are labeled as failures of the mental health system, like Emily. Also, choice is an illusion. The choice to die cannot be free as long as people with disabilities don't have the choice in where and how to live. And because of discrimination and barriers in our society, people don't have that choice. People very often don't have that choice. And finally, safeguards don't work. Where these practices are legal, like in Belgium, safeguards do not prevent people with disabilities from being wrongly killed.
But remember, we are better than Belgium.
Right.
A lot better.
That's the That's what people say. We're better than those other people, so we won't make those same mistakes that they make. But of course, we know that that's not true. So the goal of our online discussion is to give people a place to talk about these issues, people with disabilities, among ourselves and from our point of view, because we have a fairly different take on these issues. Also, to recognize our experience and expertise in dealing with discrimination and the medical system, which is very important because most people who talk about this issue don't have that level of understanding and expertise about how medical professionals can be very discriminatory, not even meaning to, not even having a bad intentions. They have very good intentions, but those good intentions can sometimes be very dangerous. We also want to take our place in the public debate, aside from conservatives and quote-unquote progressives, because the liberals who push assisted suicide are in fact less progressive than we are. Our analysis goes deeper and doesn't just scratch the surface. It goes much deeper into the social and political roots of where assisted suicide comes from.
In fact, we're a lot more progressive than progressives.
Right, exactly. Okay, to view, we have more than 60 webcasts available for viewing. To find them, go to YouTube or your favorite search engine and look for euthanasia and disability.
You will find quite a lot of information. All the information are coming from official sources or verified sources. The only thing who are not verified are our comment, but it helped to analyze a little bit.
Right, exactly. Let's see, to participate live, send me your email address and I will send you a link to join us live during the webcast. And also I will send you the text of our webcast. I send that out on Mondays, so you can see the basic information from our webcast. There is a lot more material on the in the broadcast than is on the text, but you can get that written down, so it's more accessible. For more information on the subjects we discuss, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/toujourvivant, not dead yet. Visit our website at tvndy.ca. You can email us at info@tv-ndy.ca, or you can follow me on Twitter at TVNDY. Thanks very much to Christian for helping out.
See you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Have a good time.
Have a good time.
Goodbye.
Bye.